Do you know which was the most selling smartphone of 2019? If you're thinking about Galaxy S20 Ultra, iPhone 11, or any other of those $1,000 flagships, then you're absolutely wrong. It might come as a bit of a surprise, but the most selling smartphone of 2019 was Samsung Galaxy A10, which is actually a budget smartphone at a price of $154 per unit, or around 25,000 Pakistani rupees. It sold over 13.4 million units worldwide. The second rank was held by another one of Samsung phones, which is Galaxy A50, also being a mid-ranger at a price of $300, and it sold over 12 million units. If you do a bit of maths, then we get to know that Samsung made over $5.6 billion from these two smartphones in the last year alone. While we talk about the Galaxy S20 Ultra, which was Samsung's flagship phone last year, didn't go out much well. If any of you doesn't know what a flagship is, it is the best smartphone by a company they have made so far, like S20 Ultra for Samsung and iPhone 11 Pro Max for Apple. Now back to the topic. There are a lot of reasons for Samsung to start making good mid-range devices. It isn't that Samsung didn't make mid-range devices before, it is just that they weren't good enough. And the reason is Chinese smartphones. Over the past few years, Chinese smartphone companies have dominated the smartphone market with phones from big names like Realme, OnePlus and Xiaomi. Where companies like Infinix, Tecno and Itel focus on smartphones at a pure entry level, these companies focus on making smartphones that can compete with flagships at a mid-range price. Since Samsung isn't the only smartphone company out there, they need to make really good mid-range smartphones if they want to stand out in this massive ocean of budget and mid-range devices. And this leads us to the second point, which is competition. So basically, there are two types of competition in the market. One of them is in the flagship category. Here the competition is to introduce newer features which are actually extras like high resolution cameras and screens, curved displays. Whereas when it comes to mid-range and budget devices, the competition is entirely price based. What they try to do is put every possible feature in the lowest possible price, which benefits the consumer as well as the companies very much. All this is again due to China, because after introducing an upper mid-range processor, a multi-camera system, big screen sizes and huge numbers like 4, 6 or 8 gigs of RAM with massive storage capacities up to 256 GB, they've actually set a standard that if offered any less than that at that particular price point, people just won't buy it because they have better options available. Even if the flagships introduce new features and technologies, those just after a year or two can be seen in mid-range devices in everybody's hands. Another great reason for the mid-range category to explode is that a large number of people are buying it. Things like stylish design, high refresh rate, quick touch response and super fast face unlock and touch ID are not what everybody usually notices. Of course, they improve the user experience in a great way, but there are not many people out there who tend to notice and appreciate these little details and improvements. Just because a phone has very high performance doesn't mean it is going to replace your workstation or you are going to replace your DSLR with it. The reason is that the software of smartphones, which is basically Android, isn't made for all of this. Its design has been kept simple for the majority of people who will just use it for watching videos, making phone calls and surfing social media sites. So it totally makes sense that a big name like Samsung will have to up its game in the mid-range category. Even though mid-range and budget smartphones don't cost much, that does not mean they can't stabilize the company's economical structure. Each year, a company like Samsung and Apple have to release a new smartphone which usually have better specs and design than the previous one. And all this costs money, a lot of money. Not just the expenses of each single chip in that smartphone, but also the salaries of hundreds of thousands of its employees. And when the flagship phones are not living up to the mark, that is when mid-range devices hop in. Because more than 70% of the world's population can't afford to buy high-end flagships due to low economy rate. Especially Asian countries like China, India, Pakistan, Thailand and some other African countries, where economy is not well established. The number of people buying those flagships is less than 20%, and those 20% people are either very rich or are YouTubers, reviewers, etc. So those who are left are gonna buy these mid-range smartphones. Moving on to the next point, which is experiments. Since we already know that mid-range devices easily outgrow flagships, but yet every company has to keep working on a new flagship every year and try to make as big of a difference in technology and features as possible. Thus, the company has to experiment new techniques to get the most out of their new device, which costs a lot of money. And it's not like that you just go on and make something new which is perfect. If not complete failures, there are always some problems and shortcomings that need to be addressed. And a company as big as Samsung could really use that money, as they have claimed that they are currently working on a smartphone camera that can rival the human eye. human eye is said to have 576 megapixels, while Samsung is trying to fit a 600 megapixel camera inside a phone. Right now, the highest resolution in a camera is 108 megapixel. As well as Samsung is working on under-display selfie camera and 150 megapixel lens to start with. So we can see where all that profit goes. The final reason for mid-range and budget devices to be so popular is that flagships can often cause some inconveniences, like the idea of having no headphone jack, which is the factor that personally bothers me a lot. The other things like curved displays, which doesn't let you make a good grip on your phone. Then there's a factor which is non-protective extras like 240Hz refresh rate, fast screen response, very high resolution cameras, and styles. Again, these things are something a person would love to have, but he doesn't really need it. Since he's only gonna be watching videos, chatting and playing regular games, which don't even support these high-end features, so yeah, he won't be willing to pay an extra $500 to $700 for these features. That is why Samsung made a pretty good decision of letting itself into the mid-range category. Speaking of which, let's talk about Samsung Galaxy M31. It is a successor to Galaxy M30 from last year. Priced at around $200, this phone clearly exceeded my expectations. It comes with Exynos 9611, which is a 10nm chipset. It has a 6-inch Super AMOLED Full HD display. It comes in two different variants, one of which is 6 gigs of RAM and 64 gigs of storage, and another is 6 gigs of RAM with 128 gigs of storage. Moreover, it has a quad camera setup on back with 64 megapixel plus 8 megapixel plus 5 megapixel plus 5 megapixel, serving as wide, ultra-wide macro and depth sensor respectively. And it can also record 4K videos at 30 fps. Apart from having a 32 megapixel front camera, it also has a 3.5mm headphone jack, which most flagships tend to ditch. The main highlight of this phone is its 6000 mAh lithium polymer battery, which comes with 15 watts of fast charging. The last time I saw a 6000 mAh battery, it was on Asus ROG Phone 2, which is clearly over $1,000. This phone can clearly be said as a perfect mid-range solution for those who like a Samsung device, since 6000 mAh on a Super AMOLED screen with 60Hz of refresh rate can easily make it throughout the day with a single charge. If you enjoyed the video, a like would be really encouraging. I'll see you guys in the next video. Till then, take care.